let me tell you this. Linebackers matter. Top end talent, it matters. Hitting on the draft, it matters. Double moonwalking the Cowboys' ass, it matters. Making sure the Giants pay for their stupidity matters. It all matters in the end. And the Eagles have a perfect chance to do great things these next two drafts. But in order to do it, they have to think a little different.
Kick the red, double moonwalker on the red.
Dallas still stinks. Do it, King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope you guys are doing well, man. I gotta tell you, today, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to put on a helmet. I'm ready to run through a wall. I'm excited because the draft is less than a month away. I cannot wait for this draft. I am so excited about the potential this team has to get good players. I'm excited about next year's draft because if the Eagles hit on these two drafts, they can rebuild real quick. I'm super excited about Nick Sirianni, this coaching staff, and the ability to develop some of the young players we have on this team. I'm excited about Jalen Hurts. He works his ass off. I can't wait to see year two. I'm excited. I'm telling you, man, I'm pumped up today. I'm fired up. I'm more pumped up than Mark Holmes doing 80 videos going through the Grand Canyon or the 20-minute nap. Dak Anthony, where's Prescott? Where's the fitness takes? Dak Anthony, where's the Prescott? Where's the fitness? I love it. What a great name. Now, before we get into it, we got to talk about some things that happened today. Well, really, one small minor thing, no big surprise. Boston Scott, he signs his tender, so he's back in the fold next year. I want to know how the Eagles are going to use him. Is Boston Scott going to be used like Darren Sproles in that kind of role, which is, to me, what he should be used as. And I don't think Peterson did a good job of that, okay? So Boston Scott is back. Going to be good, and look, this draft is key for us. This draft and next year's draft, that's key for us, okay? And today what I kind of want to talk about is how I think the Eagles are going to approach this draft differently than in previous drafts. I think in years past, right, linebackers, they didn't matter. Wide receivers didn't matter. Those things didn't matter as much to them as normally offensive, defensive line, right? And I get it. You build your teams from the inside out. I totally agree with that. However, you can't do that at the expense of passing up on top end talent. Okay, you can't say, well, we really need a guard more than we need this really good wide receiver because we just need him, and maybe he's not as good as him, but we're going to take him anyways. I don't think the Eagles have the luxury to pick based upon position, especially round one. I fundamentally don't believe, and I've said this in videos for years, I fundamentally don't believe in the first round of the draft that you ever skip best available player, okay? I think that drafting by positional need in the first round should only be done when you think you're on the verge of winning a Super Bowl. Other than that, you go best player available. And sometimes that means you're going to take a guy that you really may not at the time seem to need. However, something always happens. Somebody always gets hurt. Somebody can always be traded. And what your holes are going into the next year, it may not be what your holes were in 2 years. So you always take best player available. The example that sticks out the most to me is when I think of the Minnesota Vikings, when they had Chris Carter and they took Randy Moss. They had Chris Carter. They had a couple guys who were great wide receivers, and they took Randy Moss anyways. Can't pass up talent. That's why I think this year the Eagles need to look at this linebacking situation. Okay, they need to look at number 12. And if Micah Parsons is sitting there at 12, a guy who arguably is the best defensive player in this draft, you have to take him. You have to take him. You have to snag him. You have to get him. Okay? Because if you don't, you're just, not only do you need linebackers, but you're going to regret if this guy goes on to be Defensive Player of the Year. One thing you can always say about the Eagles and linebackers, in the years past, we haven't put a high priority on the linebacking position. Just look at last year, okay? However, if you look at the 2017 Eagles, they had decent linebackers. Why? Because when Chip Kelly came in for the few years, he did believe in linebacking core. He did go out and get them. When Schwartz came, he brought in Nigel Bradham, had a great year in 2017. The Eagles won a Super Bowl with good linebackers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl with good linebackers. A lot of teams win Super Bowls with good linebackers. People will say, well, great elite wide receivers don't win Super Bowls. Well, great elite linebackers do. There's no argument there. And I don't even agree with that whole, well, Julio Jones didn't win a Super Bowl and he's an elite wide receiver. Well, he should have. His team choked. They choked. He gave them every opportunity to win. It wasn't on him. Jerry Rice was the greatest wide receiver of all time. He won Super Bowls. So I don't believe those kind of notions, okay? Now, I am going to tell you a part of me that is fearful, and part of me that does worry about about the Eagles trading back, okay? I hope, and I believe the Eagles are going to look at things differently this draft. I don't think they're going to just say, we're going to take a defensive lineman or we're going to take an offensive lineman because that's what we do in the past. I think they're going to take the best player available. I really think they have to. Howie's job has to be getting close to being on the line, right? Right? So I do think J.C. Horn, a Surtain, Devontae Smith, Waddle, Parsons, all these guys that in prior years I don't think the Eagles would have picked. I think they could do it this year. Okay? But if I had to give you one thing that does worry me, now I'm not saying this is the truth, but one thing that worries me about the Eagles trading back is I hope the Eagles didn't trade back because they looked at the 6th pick and said, hey, look, when we pick, it's going to be Pitts and Jamar Chase, the 2 best players on the board. If we take anybody else, we cannot justify it. So let's trade back and take the pressure off of us having to take those 2 guys because they had no intention. That does cross my mind. That does worry me because I think in years prior, the Eagles would have done something like that. Now, I don't think it's going to be that way this year. And the reason why I say it is because the way they're stacking up picks, some of the things they said. Now, Howie Roseman has said before, we take the best player available. And that's how we do it. But then his best player available somehow always becomes biggest need. So I don't believe that. But I do believe with his job on the line, with him needing to prove himself, he is going to look for the sure thing. He is going to look to do good and prove that he can hit on this draft. So I think a guy like Parsons, I think he's going to be available. He may not get to the Eagles at 12, but if he does and he's available, I think the Eagles could take him. I really think there's a shot that they would. And if they took Parsons, how could anybody be upset? I mean, really, unless this guy falls off out of like the top 15 or something because of off the field things, Parsons would be a great pick. J.C. Horn, I think he's my favorite corner in this draft. If he's available, I think the Eagles are going to take him. I do. And I really think 2-3 years ago, Howie Roseman would never do it. Howie Roseman right here, coming to 12, typical Howie, typical Eagles of years past. Kwity Paye comes up at 12. That's your pick. There would be a defensive lineman, most likely. Maybe Slater if he drops. Now, if they end up taking Paye or Slater and they can honestly say, this is the best guy on the board when we picked, I can't argue with it, okay? But what I don't want and what I think is a mistake is to say, damn, we need this position or we need this side of the ball, so skip the best talent on the board and fill that hole. What are you filling that hole for? Next year? 1 year? Because in 2 years, 3 years, your holes are completely different. Take the best player available. And then next year when you have 3 ones, you take the best players available. Some of those players will be needs. And that's how you rebuild. I am a firm believer. The best player available always at 1 should be almost any team's approach. Now, I'm not talking about long snapper, punter, kicker. I'm not even talking about a quarterback if you don't need one. But other than that, best player available. So who's that going to be when the Eagles pick at 12? That's the real question. I got to tell you, I think it's going to be down to Parsons, Devontae Smith, Waddle, or Horn. I think one of those 4 guys will be there. Now, I am going to fight this till the end. I'm going to fight it till the end. If Pitts falls to 8, my mother humping ass is going after him. And I'm going hardcore. Okay? I think a third this year, a third next year, a third and a fourth this year to get up to 8 is doable. Okay? I love Kyle Pitts. I love him. Okay? Now, if he's going early and I can't get him, and let's say I get to 12 and I take Devontae Smith or Waddle, all right, then I'm telling you what I'm doing. I'm getting ready to come back up to the first round. I got a second round pick. I got 2/3. I got a 4th. I got 2/5. I am going to trade back up into the first round. Now, how far do I have to go up? That depends. But I'm going after Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, my favorite linebacker. I mean, I think Parsons, you have to put him number 1. But me personally, I love Koramoah. That is my guy. That is my dog. That is my man. I love him. Love him. So, I'm trading back up for him. So, if you see the Eagles get Waddle or Smith, you're trading back up and getting Koramoah. If you see Parsons or, J.C. Horn or somebody like that, then we'll see what happens. But the Eagles have to be aggressive this draft. They have to approach it differently than in previous drafts. You can't just go on need and what you like or what position you don't mind paying more money to. You have to go on talent because this team is in need of it. And look, whether it was the right move to go from 6 to 12, I don't know. I don't know yet because I don't know what the outcome of the picks are. However, if the Eagles did that purely because they didn't want to take Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts, then that's a bad thing. If they did it because they're trying to stockpile picks and thinking about the future, hey, I'm good with it. Just pick the right guy. You know what I mean? Just pick up the right guy. Now, I will be live tomorrow, Friday. I'm going to get home a little early. It's Good Friday, so I'll be a little home early. I'm going to do an afternoon stream. I'm going to spend the rest of the day, unless there's breaking news, editing some of my Philly Reacts. I have 4 of those coming out, so look out for those in the next few days. But with that said, take care. Talk to you later. Don't forget to like. And everybody always tells me because I forget, don't forget to subscribe. And, of course, don't be a dingbat.